Imagine a world where people are treated as property, bought and sold, and made to work under the constant threat of punishment. This was the reality for countless individuals in the Roman Empire, where slavery was a deeply ingrained part of daily life. Enslaved people came from all corners of the vast empire, captured through various means. Some were prisoners of war, while others were kidnapped, sold into bondage, or even born into slavery. Their roles were as diverse as their origins, from working in fields and households to being trained as gladiators, fighting for entertainment in the arena. The ways people became enslaved were varied. During the Roman Republic, many were captured soldiers sold by victorious armies. But as warfare became less frequent, the empire relied more on other sources. Children born to enslaved women automatically became slaves, bound by birth to their mother's fate. Some were kidnapped or sold into slavery by their families due to poverty or other desperate circumstances. There were even cases of individuals voluntarily selling themselves into slavery to pay off debts, despite laws against such practices. Slavery in Rome wasn't a static institution. There were paths to freedom, though not easily traveled. Manumission, the process of freeing slaves, was a common practice. Enslaved people could earn or be granted their freedom, sometimes after years of service. They often became clients of their former masters, creating a network of obligations and relationships. However, freedom didn't necessarily mean full rights. Freed people faced many restrictions, including limited political participation and social stigma. Despite these hardships, some freed individuals achieved significant success, becoming wealthy and influential. Yet the harsh reality of slavery was never far from the surface, as evidenced by the brutal treatment slaves often endured. This mistreatment led to several major revolts, the most famous being the uprising led by Spartacus. A former gladiator, Spartacus led a massive rebellion that challenged the Roman state itself, though it was ultimately crushed by the Roman general Crassus. These events highlighted the tensions within Roman society and the precarious position of enslaved people. After these revolts, the Roman authorities took steps to manage and control the practice of manumission, likely in an effort to prevent future uprisings. And life under slavery in the Roman Empire was a mixed bag, depending largely on the individual circumstances such as age, gender, and location. Enslaved people could be found in both rural and urban settings, each offering a different set of challenges and opportunities. In cities, slaves often worked as artisans, teachers, doctors, musicians, actors, or assistants to merchants and shopkeepers. Some even held positions in the imperial administration or helped construct public infrastructure like bridges and roads. Life in the countryside, particularly on large estates called latifundia, was much harsher. Here, slaves often faced grueling labor in fields, mines, and quarries. The conditions were brutal, with poor clothing, severe treatment, and little chance of earning enough to buy their freedom. In these settings, hundreds of slaves might work under the constant threat of punishment, always under the watchful eye of their masters, who feared rebellion and conspiracy. This constant threat created an atmosphere of fear and control. Punishments for slaves could be severe, including whipping, beating, or even torture. Sexual abuse was also a grim reality for many, as masters had complete control over their lives. In some cases, runaway slaves were branded or forced to wear collars with their owner's name, a humiliating mark of their status. The novel, Satyricon, written in the 1st century CE by Petronius, illustrates this with the character Trimalchio, a freedman who recalls being favored by his master for many years, hinting at the complicated and often degrading relationships that could develop. Despite these harsh conditions, enslaved people sometimes formed families, particularly in urban areas. Although Roman law did not recognize their marriages, these familial bonds were a significant part of their lives. Slaveholders often manipulated these relationships for their own benefit, adding another layer of control. Children born to enslaved parents were also put to work from a young age, often starting with simple tasks within the household. Over time, some might be promoted to more skilled positions, depending on their abilities and the needs of their masters. And now let's dive into the world of gladiators, a crucial part of Roman culture and public entertainment. Gladiatorial combat started in central Italy in the 3rd century BCE, initially as part of funeral games to honor the deceased. The first recorded games in Rome were in 264 BCE, featuring 3 pairs of gladiators. Over the centuries, these games grew in number and scale, especially under the emperors, who staged events with hundreds of gladiators. Gladiators hailed from diverse backgrounds. While some volunteered for the fame and fortune, many were enslaved individuals forced into the role. These fighters formed a team called a familia and trained at a gladiatorial school under the supervision of a lanista, the group's manager. The lanista and other trainers would assess new recruits, deciding on the weapons and fighting styles suited for each gladiator. Training was intense and rigorous, though gladiators typically fought only a few times a year. Matches often pitted differently armed gladiators against each other, creating a spectacle of varied combat styles. For example, a gladiator with a sword might face a retirius, who wielded a net and trident. Though fights didn't always end in death, the crowd held significant sway over the outcome, often urging the victorious gladiator to kill the wounded opponent. The emperor, if present, had the ultimate say, with a thumbs up or thumbs down gesture deciding the opponent's fate. Successful gladiators could gain immense popularity, earning money and a fan base. Interestingly, both senators and women sometimes participated in these combats. This participation was so prevalent that Emperor Tiberius enacted a law in 19C prohibiting senators and equestrians from fighting, highlighting the appeal and widespread involvement in gladiatorial games. Evidence of women participating is seen in a stone relief from the 1st or 2nd century CE, depicting 2 female gladiators in combat. The Colosseum, a colossal amphitheater in Rome, was the epicenter of these grand spectacles. Constructed between 69 and 79 CE and dedicated in 80 CE by Emperor Titus, the Colosseum could hold up to 50,000 spectators. This architectural marvel hosted not only gladiator matches but also mock naval battles and animal hunts. The structure featured a rising arrangement of columns and a complex network of vaults, showcasing Roman engineering prowess. These games served more than just an entertainment purpose, they were a crucial element of Roman political strategy. The concept of bread in circuses, providing free wheat and grand spectacles, was designed to distract the populace from societal issues and prevent rebellion by meeting their basic needs and providing continuous amusement. The emperor's regular attendance at these games helped bolster his popularity and maintain public order. Through these elaborate spectacles and strategic entertainments, the Roman Empire managed to keep its vast and diverse population engaged and controlled, reflecting the intricate interplay of power, entertainment, and politics in ancient Rome.